Another loaded show coming your way on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, and we're hitting two topics coming up. Could the Niners trade Brandon Aiyuk to the Las Vegas Raiders for star wide receiver Davante Adams? And could San Francisco say, we regret giving Aiyuk that deal? Give us a player who is an excellent wide receiver and will also help us win right now and in the future could be cheaper than Aiyuk. According to reports, the Raiders are reaching out to teams, gauging the interest in a potential Adams trade. And also topic number 2, Brock Purdy is truly entering an elite quarterback tier. And when you think about it, he's been in that tier for a long time, and the numbers do not lie. Before we get into all of that, in addition to the long-form content that I give you here on YouTube, I put out a lot of Niners videos and other content styles on my social media pages. So if you want to stay in the know with the Niners and you like me and you want to give me a follow, I'm at Chase_Senior on X, at Chase_Senior on Instagram, and don't be a stranger. Say what's up in the DMs. Let's get it rolling on this Tuesday, October 1st, as we have officially entered the new month of October, and we have a loaded show coming your way on today's Niners Report, and it's all made possible thanks to our friends at Roan. I am wearing their commuter polo right now, and if you want to enhance your wardrobe, style up your wardrobe, and level up your fashion game, be sure to do it with Roan, and when you use my code CHATSPORTS, you get 20% off. Everything from dress shirts to polos to really nice pants as well as shorts. And what I love about Roan, the material that they use for their clothing items. Stretchable, breathable, wrinkle release technology, odor-free technology. You can wear a Roan polo like I do on the golf course or here on air inside the Chat Sports studios. Or if you want to look good and you want to wear a suit, you can wear a dress shirt with a suit jacket, without a suit jacket for a little bit of a date night. So high quality men's clothing, breathable and stretchable fabric. Look at this right here. No need to go to the dry cleaner because of that wrinkle release technology. You're not going to be stinky around that date. And so much versatility. Dress shirts, polos, pants, shorts. Roan has it all, and we have you covered with a phenomenal deal. 20% off when you use the code CHATSPORTS at roan.com/chatsports. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. My sister is getting married this weekend in Washington, D.C., a very special day for her and her fiance, and I will be wearing Roan gear underneath my blue suit. Let's begin with this. Is Raiders wide receiver and multi-time All-Pro wideout Davante Adams on the move? According to reports, the Raiders have started to reach out to teams looking to gauge their interest in an Adams trade. He's unhappy, and he's been unhappy with the situation in Las Vegas, and this Raiders offense has not played well at all to start the year. They have quarterback questions, salary cap questions, so does it make sense for Las Vegas to move off of Adams because he doesn't really fit their timeline of where they are as an organization, on top of the fact that he hasn't been happy with the situation with the Raiders really since he was traded from the Green Bay Packers, and he's to blame for that because he asked out of Green Bay. Vinny Bonsignor, who covers the Raiders, with this report here on this Tuesday, October 1st. More on this to come. A league source with knowledge of the situation confirmed that the Raiders are growing open to the idea of trading Davante Adams. The source said the club has begun reaching out to teams to gauge interest in the veteran wide receiver. That's not it. Can you imagine if Kyle Shanahan ever did this? I don't even think that he's visible or has any social media profiles, but adding fuel to the fire is the fact that Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce liked the photo on Instagram that was referencing Davante Adams trade speculation. You don't believe me? Sports Illustrated posting this photo here with the caption, "Don't be surprised if Davante Adams has already played his last snap with the Raiders." And you see liked by Antonio Pierce. That is indeed AP's Instagram profile. Adams went on the Kay Adams show, and he was asked about that because how often do you see your head coach liking a post that's speculating about you getting dealt? Pretty much never. Would Andy Reid ever do that? No. Bill Belichick calls Instagram Instaface. So this is extremely rare, and it stirred up some controversy in the desert. And here's what Adam said, quote, "I haven't heard from Antonio Pierce. I haven't talked to him. I don't really know what that was about. Obviously, social media is a beast, so it's a lot of people out there that saw it and wondering what's going on and people reaching out. Honestly, it's hard to comment on. It's one of those situations where I just keep my head down and I keep doing my thing. I'll let the chips fall where they may. There's been so much communication, or there's been no communication, with anybody from the team since that became a thing. There's always some sort of trade drama, but at the end of the day, 1-7 doesn't create any of it." What I also love about that quote, he referred to himself as 1-7. BA, we're about to talk about BA in speaking of initials. And with the Las Vegas Raiders, there is always drama around the Raiders. This is why bad businesses always seem to be dysfunctional. And this is why dysfunctional businesses never seem to hit their stride, find momentum, find a groove, and become successful. The same can be said for sports organizations. The bottom 5 teams in the NFL every single year all have the same problems. And part of those problems comes boiling down to the fact that they always have dysfunction. The Las Vegas Raiders, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Chicago Bears, and you look across the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL, bad teams are bad for reasons, and they can never seem to get out of their own way. And when you have a head coach liking a post about your star player getting traded, that is so avoidable. Michael Fabiano also covers the Raiders and the NFL for Sports Illustrated, and he reported this. And he was the one who had one of the initial reports about Adams getting dealt from Green Bay to Vegas. I've got little birds all over, right? Some of my little birds out there are suggesting to me that there's a chance he doesn't play another down for the Raiders and that he could have played yesterday. He has a hamstring issue, by the way. But the Raiders are looking to deal him because they think they could get some value for him. And if a team that is bad can get value for a player who's really expensive, why not move him? Which brings me to this. What if the San Francisco 49ers regret already signing Brandon Aiyuk to that deal? $30 million per year, $76 million in guaranteed money. He pretty much held out all of the summer to start the year. He hasn't had production. He's been out of shape. Kyle Shanahan had to chew him out last Friday because he wore the wrong shorts to practice. And the Niners decide to trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams. Here's why a Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams trade could happen. Remember in the aftermath of that Super Bowl defeat for the Niners, what Aiyuk's best friend said? Aiyuk to Las Vegas this offseason. Aiyuk also played under Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce when AP was an assistant under Herm Edwards at Arizona State. Before Brandon Aiyuk signed that extension with the Niners, he did request a trade, and he openly talked about leaving the Niners to go to a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Washington Commanders. Within this Niners offense, they don't really prioritize Aiyuk, and that's why it was always a little bit weird that the Niners were willing to pay him $30 million per year, because the offense is more of a run-centric offense, has a plethora of other weapons. And as we've seen to start the year, the Niners haven't tried to force feed the football to Aiyuk to get him going. They like to spread it out. And the Niners this draft, back in April, did draft 2 young wide receivers. Ricky Pearsall in the first round, Jacob Cowing in the 4th round. They restructured the contract of Deebo Samuel, so that makes it seem like the Niners are open to having him back. You have George Kittle under contract. Christian McCaffrey got an extension. So that's why an Aiyuk for Adams trade could potentially go down, and why it could make some semblance of sense, although there would be shock value because Aiyuk just signed that deal a few weeks ago. Adams is remaining contract. This is another reason why the Niners could potentially look into making this move. He's cheaper than Brandon Aiyuk. 2024 cap hit of $25.35 million. That's higher than Aiyuk's right now, but he has a base salary of under $17 million. And here's the kicker. After this year, Adams' contract can be restructured. So the base salary and the cap hit for 2025, 2026, you can forget about that. You could throw that contract out of the window. And if Davante Adams, after a couple of losing seasons with the Raiders, just wants to win, he wants to play in Kyle Shanahan's offense and have an opportunity to win his first Super Bowl, he could scrap this contract, restructure that deal, and the Niners could bring him back for cheap. And those are plausible options. So what would you do? Would you trade Aiyuk for Adams? Simply let me know by saying yes or no down in the comments section. I always want you to have a voice on this show, so be sure to share your feelings with me. Before we get to Brock Purdy, as you venture down there to let your voices be heard, don't forget to subscribe to us here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Shows coming your way every single day year-round, where every time I'm in front of this camera, on this microphone, I want to give you content that's insightful, informative, entertaining, and thought-provoking like this. But, of course, you could be a part of the program as well. To the back half of the show now, as we flip the page, just like we flipped the page from September to October, let's flip the page from Adams, Aiyuk, to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is in an elite tier among all NFL quarterbacks. And let me say that again, because I want to make that point be known. 49ers starting quarterback Brock Purdy is in an elite tier among NFL quarterbacks. And this is not just a 2024 thing where this is new. This has been the case since Brock Purdy took over as the San Francisco 49ers starting quarterback during the 2022 season when he took over for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo. And how about these numbers, which will surely open your eyes? Since the start of the 2023 season, here are the numbers compared side by side between Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. Win-loss record, Purdy is 14-6. Mahomes, 14-6. You would never think that if you don't watch this Niners team all that much, and even if you do watch this Niners team a lot, that Brock Purdy would have more passing yards than the alien Patrick Mahomes. He does, since the start of last year. 5,410 to Mahomes' 5,067. Touchdown to interception ratio. Mahomes makes so many back-breaking plays, so many highlight reel-worthy plays. What an incredible arm that he has. He can drop it down to multiple angles. He's won so many big games, and he always throws for so many yards and so many touchdowns and makes great decisions with the football. 33 touchdowns to 19 picks for Mahomes, 36 touchdowns to 13 picks for Brock Purdy. He has a better touchdown to interception ratio as well. Quarterback rating, 111.3 for Purdy, 92.1 for Mahomes. Yards per attempt, Mahomes throws the ball downfield. He always takes the top off of the defense. Brock Purdy edges him there too by 2.5 yards. 9.6 to 7.1. Now, a lot of the haters will say, but Chase, Purdy has all of the weapons. He has Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy doesn't have a Super Bowl championship, does he? Check the rings. This is Purdy's second full season as a starting quarterback. And going back to the supporting cast, Mahomes has one of the best general managers in the league. He has one of the best owners in the league. And Patrick Mahomes arguably has the best offensive mind and best offensive head coach in the history of the NFL. And oh yeah, arguably the best tight end in the history of the NFL. By the way, he's also supported by one of the best defenses and defensive coordinators in the National Football League. And to start his career, remember when he was throwing to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? But Chase, this is only an argument from the start of last year. I caught you slipping, didn't I? Highest passer rating, first 25 starts in their respective NFL careers since 1970. Brock Purdy, 112.6. Patrick Mahomes, 112.5. Kurt Warner, 106.2. A Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer, and Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick in the draft, who is writing his story and off to an incredible start to start his NFL career. But the detractors and the haters will always try to move the goalpost. That is just the reality at this point of this conversation, because Brock Purdy has passed the eye test. He might not be as physically gifted as Patrick Mahomes, but I think Purdy excels in a way that's really special. And I'm not comparing him here in this regard to Patrick Mahomes, but nowadays in the NFL, you don't really see a lot of quarterbacks throw with timing, anticipation, touch, and accuracy. You don't see them being able to read defenses and pull the trigger quickly because everything is pre-diagnosed pre-snap for a lot of these quarterbacks. And that's why quarterback play nowadays in the NFL isn't the same as it was when I was growing up, especially, or when you were growing up watching Joe Montana and Steve Young, and for me, when I'm coming up watching Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees, as well as Aaron Rodgers. They had this special command at the line of scrimmage, and they did such a great job of reading defenses, making audibles and checks, but knowing where to go with the football based upon what the defense is doing. Throwing with timing, accuracy, anticipation. So while Purdy doesn't have a bazooka for an arm like Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't have the big stature of Mahomes, what he does is very elite and can't always be coached. And there's some of the aforementioned strengths that I talked about. And going back to the point that I made a little bit earlier, Brock Purdy has been doing this since he took over as the Niners starting quarterback. Games of a 110-plus quarterback rating going back to Week 14 in 2022 when he became the Niners starting quarterback. Not only does Brock Purdy have 15 of these such games, but he's basically doubled up on the next best quarterback right behind him in Dak Prescott. So Purdy has 15 of these such games. Prescott has 8. Lamar Jackson has 6. Patrick Mahomes has 4. Matthew Stafford has 4. Jalen Hurts has 4. And Josh Allen has 4. So what Purdy has been able to do has been special. Kyle Shanahan said that after the New England game on Sunday, that Brock Purdy is a special quarterback, and he really is. And those of you who feel the same way, I do believe you're on the right side of the argument and on the right side of this conversation, whereas people like Nick Wright, who always want to discredit Brock Purdy and not give him his flowers and not give him his credit, but he'll side with Patrick Mahomes, who has lesser numbers than Brock Purdy in a couple of these categories, I think they're in the wrong. I had said this offseason that I thought Purdy going into this year can get better and improve with more experience. And some people countered that by saying, I think Brock Purdy last year, he eclipsed. He hit his peak. From that point, he's going to come down to the norm. I actually think that Purdy, as more of a mature quarterback, more of an experienced quarterback, has been better this year than he was last year, albeit a small sample size, 4 games into the year. But when you understand the speed of the NFL game and the physicality of the NFL game and how defenses work and timing and all of those other fine nuances, you can get better because the game slows down. And I think we're seeing a more confident Brock Purdy on the field as a leader and as a quarterback. This year so far, he is number 1 in the league in passing yards. He is first in yards per attempt. He led the league in that category last year. Air yards per attempt, 3rd at 9.7. His pressured completion percentage, because he's been pressured a lot, still 4th at 69.5. So even when the pressure is coming, he's still able to display accuracy. He's 4th in air yards with 917. His adjusted air yards per attempt is 6th at 8.4. His accuracy rating, 6. That's 8th. And his pressured throws at 9th with 23. Purdy is a limited athlete. That's something else that some of the haters and the detractors will say. He's a limited athlete. He's a limited quarterback. We can dispel that now as well, because what did Brock Purdy do against the Rams? What did he do against the Patriots in consecutive weeks? Pocket mobility, but mobility with his feet and legs out of structure. Whether he's buying time to make throws downfield or he's buying time to survey the field, he's making defenders miss, he's running around, or he's making plays happen with his legs, which is also what he's been able to do. And how about this flex from Purdy after the game on Sunday? He said, I'm pretty sure, and you could fact check me, that I have a faster 10-yard start to the 40-yard dash compared to Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. He really did. So he does have some of that short area quickness, which helps him evade sacks, spin out of sacks, stay on his feet. And what I love, he always keeps his eyes up trying to make a play downfield. And how about one of those throws that he made to George Kittle, where he's redirecting him somewhere out of structure and is able to throw that football. And to this point, look at his throwing chart against New England on Sunday. And this has kind of become the norm, right? In the green, you have completions. In the white, you have incompletions. And then the blue streak, his touchdown to George Kittle. But look at the wide array of throws that Purdy made in this game. And he's pretty much doing this on a routine basis. But look at the depth of target here for his throws. I mean, we got some long balls way downfield here, and there's multiple of them, but he's also throwing from sideline to sideline at all three levels. What we're witnessing right now, and what we've witnessed since he took over as the Niners starting quarterback in 2022, really is a special story. This was the last pick of the NFL draft, who is now developing for our eyes, and I think that he can continue to get better. He only entered the league in 2022, and he's accomplished this much already. Now, when he inevitably gets that contract extension, giving him $60 million in the future, maybe the Niners aren't able to have as many complementary pieces around him, although the NFL salary cap going up will help the Niners pay some of his weapons, so then there will be more pressure on him. But in a game where Purdy didn't have some of his star power without Deebo, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle 2 weeks ago against the Rams, he was, 22 of 29? Very efficient and elevating his teammates. You know special when you're seeing it, and right now, we're seeing a pretty special story get put together and unfold right before our eyes. So if you think Brock Purdy is elite, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video. If not, you can disagree with me. I want you to comment why, but you better bring the heat, and you better show me that you know what you're talking about.